winning their first National League title?
Well, I think from 1977 to now, Armagh have been reasonably well in the big time. The only thing is the breakthrough is a question. I think they are prepared. I think they've proved it over this year. They have not alone beaten the top teams, the so-called top teams, but they've beaten them well. So I think they're ready. I think Sunday will be their breakthrough.
Croke Park hasn't been a happy hunting ground for Armagh. You know, several appearances there, but not successful ones. I mean, do the players dislike appearing at headquarters?
No, I wouldn't agree with the first statement. Croke Park hasn't been that unhappy for Armagh. In the duration of the last 6 or 7 years, Armagh played many times in Croke Park, but people seem to forget that they met two of the best teams in history, Kerry and Cork, or Kerry and Dublin at their best, and even last year in the semi-final, I think that Armagh set the stage for Offaly to take Kerry by their performance against them, and any other team they've played, they've won an All-Ireland semi-final there. They've won 2 games. The last 2 games we drew with Dublin and beat Meath. So I don't think there's any such a thing as a hoodoo in Croke Park.
Achieving success, of course, on those wide open spaces at Croke Park requires a lot of fitness on the part of the players. What about your training schedules?
Training schedule since September was one that was lightened down due to the fact that Armagh had been at a climax in August for the All-Ireland semi-final, and I think they kept that level of fitness up to Christmas. We had 1 session practically every week, but since Christmas we stepped up slightly, and that was a Tuesday and Thursday. I think they're fit. They're, as you said before, they were supposed to be the favourites. I think they're entitled to that. They're entitled to that tag, and they're fit, and they will prove that on Sunday.
I think when we started back in September, we set our sights at staying in the first division, and the success we have achieved has been a sort of a bonus since that. If we can win on Sunday, it'll give the team a great deal of confidence. We have a reasonable draw in the championship and will hopefully qualify out of Ulster, and then we'll take it from there.
You played a major role, of course, in shaping the team. What have you concentrated on in your training?
Probably a return to basics. Basic skills I feel have been neglected in the game. A lot of emphasis has been placed on tactical play and fitness, and while you can't overlook the fitness angle, and it's important, and we have done a lot of fitness work, particularly during the winter, I would say our biggest emphasis has been our return to the basic skills of the game and getting them correct.
And if we're hitting the ball,
if we have a team that can win the ball consistently, if we have it, the other team can't do very much.
In building the team, of course, you've been ruthless as far as training is concerned. Do you mind being called or described as hard taskmasters?
Well, I think that's a press term. I think possibly the best people to ask that question would be the players themselves. I think we try to treat them as adults, and if they behave as adults, there is no problems. And I don't think there has been many problems. One incident I think has been highlighted and probably overblown, and it wasn't important, and it didn't cause any real disarray in the camp.
But isn't it important to have discipline in the team anyway?
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, we have emphasised this to the players. If they're going to have success, they must work hard at it. In any walk of life, you only get out what you put in.
Well, so much for the views of the team bosses, who hope at this stage that their teams have the commitment and the determination to win the title. But what about the players themselves? After all, they're the people who produce the results at the end of the day. What are their views?
Oh yes, very hard taskmasters. I think they proved that a couple of weeks ago. And they're here to win. They're very busy men outside of football, so there's no time to waste.
It's said that one of the reasons why the Down team of 20 years ago was so successful, that they played as a county side with the pride and the skill of a club side. Would you say that's one of the ingredients of the present Down side?
Yeah, it's coming that way. We haven't been together long enough. That sort of attitude comes over maybe a period of a couple of years, but it's there. We're working at it.
How much is this due to the kind of training schedule that you've been on as well? I mean, it keeps you all together, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. That's the main thing Val and James have worked at. 2 nights a week, every week from last September. So the spirit's there. We're together often enough to engender that type of spirit.
I think it's very important to go into this year's championship with a chance, with a national title. We definitely need a national title under our belt, and this is a big opportunity.
What's the morale like?
Very high at the moment. We're all confident, but not complacent.
Well, it's going to be a very important battle, Leslie. The team that can grasp that situation very quickly on will be the team that I think will come out on top on the day.
How do you rate this present Down side compared with the one of, say, 20 years ago?
Well, it's as I say, you said there is a young team. I think they have a lot going for them in the fact that they're very dedicated and they want to win. They're hungry for success. I think this will prove a big help to them in the later years. And well, it's been, as you say, 20 years, and hopefully it'll not be 20 years again.
As it stands now, I'd say I'm in with a 50-50 chance at the moment. Hamstring is a funny injury. You think you have it cured and it can go again in you.
How important to you is it to play in this game?
Very, very important. I've been playing now for Armagh for over 11 years, and this is the second most important game that ever I played for Armagh. The All-Ireland final in '77 was the...
Well, people say Croke Park isn't a happy hunting ground for us, but I don't believe it, you know. Just because they have won so many times there before. It's all on Sunday's game, it's all on the day. It's all over the 60 minutes.
Well, what we've tended to do is to build up gradually since January. Pre-Christmas and during the league pre-Christmas we didn't train at all. Actually, we simply played the matches. After Christmas we started for about a month doing one night a week, and have gone on now to do 2, sometimes 3 days a week.
What sort of things have you concentrated on?
Well, obviously we've concentrated on fitness, but we've been very careful not to come to a peak too soon, and we think we've got it right.
The two defences are going to be very hard, and they're very physical. You know, both are very good defences, but I think our forwards have the edge, and I think we'll come out tops, hopefully.
Armagh are very good, and naturally enough their league form would suggest that they'll be a very difficult team to beat on Sunday, Leslie.
Can you beat them?
Well, we'll do our best.
I think in the past we have probably, certainly in Armagh, we have probably peaked a little too early. But I think this year we've got it right, and we've been building up gradually, and have used the league to build up towards the championship. And regardless of the result on Sunday, as we come to the championship, we'll be right for it too.
Possibly a local derby, an all-Ulster game just taken out of the province, and we expect it to be tight, hard, very evenly contested, and probably not a great deal of scoring. I would imagine it'll be a close, low-scoring game. We know each other too well and probably respect each other too well to pull anything strange or starting out of the hat at this stage.
Armagh is going to Croke Park on Sunday, and as far as I'm concerned, we're going for one reason, and that is to win, because I believe the team deserve it, the team's wives and families deserve it, and above all, I think that at this stage the Armagh supporters deserve it, because they've been loyal to the end.
Well, in Gaelic Games tomorrow brings its own dilemma for Gaelic Games enthusiasts, because they've got to make up their mind whether to go to Croke Park for the National Football League final between Armagh or Down, or head for Thurles for the National Hurling League final between Kilkenny and Limerick. It's an unfortunate clash of fixtures, but while hurling generally promises the more excitement, there's no doubt that the clash of the Northern Giants will bring tremendous colour and atmosphere to Croke Park. Remember that display of county pride by the Armagh supporters at half-time in their All-Ireland final with Dublin 6 years ago.
And another colourful background, no doubt, will be provided by the Armagh and Down fans to this unusual National League final, which starts in Croke Park at 3:30. An opportunity for two Ulster teams to show off their talents and to give the lie to the claims that have been made in recent years that football in the North has been of a very depressed standard indeed.
With all due respect to the media, I think that this thing about the Northern football being at a low ebb has been absolute rubbish, because if you go outside of Dublin and Kerry, there haven't been too many All-Irelands or National Leagues flying about anywhere else, and they always seem to pick on the North and say the standard's bad there. I certainly expect Down and Armagh to put that record right in the near future.
Paddy Moriarty. Fran McMahon from midfield, long delivery. This is Johnny Corvin. Can he get in? Yes! What a marvellous goal!
By McLinden's kick out, grabbed by Paddy Kennedy, and Down running most of the ball in the midfield area at the moment. As
John McCartan settling himself and crashing the ball over the net. A glorious goal from John McCartan, a long ball.
Not unusual at all for the McCartan clan to exercise a major influence on Down football. It happened in the 60s, and now one of the stars of that glorious era is in charge of the county's team as their team manager. There were two McCartans on the side of the 1960s, and James was the centre-half forward hero of that emergent Down team. And we met him this week in the county grounds here in Newry Park, which nestles in the shadows of the South Armagh Hills on the outskirts of Newry town.
Playing pitches in Armagh and dressing room from County Down.
You've no objection to standing in Armagh?
Oh, not on I live on the Armagh border on the Lagos side of it, and the rivalry is great. I mean, I think that's part of the game and adds to attraction, I think.
Have you had to take a lot of, joking abuse from Armagh people in the last 2 weeks?
Oh, I've taken this last 20 years, not the last 2 weeks,
Banter that won't hide this intense rivalry.
I take hard matches and I enjoy it, and I enjoy the banter more than maybe now.
And of course, that's exactly what it was when you met here last October in this ground here in Newry. They were just back from America into the tight, low-scoring game, wasn't it?
Well, Armagh, back when they said they were tired, and they say now that the habit now that the fresh now.
And they also said that you wouldn't postpone that game when they wanted to postpone it.
Well, I mean, I agree we wouldn't postpone it, but they asked us to postpone it the morning we left for Armagh. I mean, had once before that.
You weren't taking advantage of them?
Well, no, I wasn't taking them out. We had a plan to let out what we were going to do. We were looking challenge matches before the National League at any stage play. I remember we asked Armagh for a game and they wouldn't play us then. Yet they come in then, a week before they went to Armagh and asked to change. But we had our leagues arranged here with the county committee so that the clubs would get the league football and, it's going to be harassment. And it meant if we put a match off, we're going to have to play 3 National League matches, 3 Sundays one after the other.
Do you think that sort of thing now is going to add to the rivalry on Sunday?
Well, with some people, yes, but with honest people and people who understand, no. I mean, they understood. I mean, I would say at Armagh, if we'd asked Armagh for the same, we wouldn't have got that. I mean, they wouldn't have wanted to play 3 National League matches, 3 Sundays, one after the other.
Well, I'd expect any final to have its amount of tension, and this one no less. It's a National League final, it's the first National League final for Armagh, and I think Armagh have been, around this last 6 years, they've gained the experience, and we've had a lot of disappointments. And the team over the last 6 years have given a lot of enjoyment to what I consider the best support in Ireland, and therefore I think that we're due this National League final, and the boys there were saying that they hope to win, and I think they do hope to win, but what they probably really know in their hearts, we're coming down and we're coming to win this final.
And it's been victory all the way then against Offaly, Kerry, Mayo, Derry, and now here in Cork today. And the Armagh team going over to greet their supporters who've come all the way down through the country to Porkycleave to follow this team, and are going home a very pleased group of supporters.
You're going into this final probably the more experienced team than Down are.
That is true, but a team that still came to the final, and especially with Down's tradition behind them, and with the 2 gentlemen that they have, James and Val, they will make up a lot for their inexperience. I think they will come to this final pretty well prepared, and we certainly will come very well prepared.
Well, it must be great satisfaction for the supporters who you mentioned there, because I've met them all over Ireland as they followed you around the place.
There's no doubt about it. I think the supporters, the team have proved their dedication. The supporters have more than proved theirs. They are the greatest bunch of supporters. They've been there the day, and they'll come no matter what the conditions is. They'll travel the length and breadth of Ireland. They even travel to America with us. So we owe it to them, and we owe it to ourselves. I think the team owes it to themselves. I think I'm delighted about the day's result, and I'm delighted too that Meath came and played us a tough, hard game, and I expected that with men like Sean Boylan in charge of them. But for the future, I think Armagh is the team of the 80s. I've said it before, and I'll continue to say it.
Well, now comes the opportunity to confirm it, and they've certainly been the leading teams throughout the winter. They took over joint leadership of Division 1 on October the 31st, and they stayed shoulder to shoulder until late November, when Armagh edged ahead. When the divisional matches were completed last month, they were still unbeaten, Armagh winning 5 games and drawing 2 for a total of 12 points. Down had 4 wins and 3 draws to collect 11 points, both of them beating the All-Ireland finalists Offaly and Kerry, with Armagh having an amazing 6 goals in that high-scoring match with Kerry.
Brian McAlinden's kick out, down the centre, Joe Kiernan, no problems there. second phase. And a magnificent ball right through. And a shimmy and a dummy and a goal! A wonderful goal from Johnny Corvin, National League top scorer, and emphasising his ability by being cool, calm, and that time tucking it to the net. Joey Donnelly. And almost a mistake in the Armagh line-up there, but Jim McCare now operating some 50 metres from the Kerry goals, hosting a dangerous ball in, and they tussle for it, and it breaks. Deflects off Peter Rafferty, and there's another goal for Armagh! Brian's kick out. Lost by Tom Spillane. Worked forward, and a clever flick to Peter Rafferty. Rafferty trying to get on the left foot, and Rafferty finishing immaculately, and he's pleased with that one. Peter Rafferty, his second goal of the game, Armagh's third, and Armagh rampant. Meanwhile, play continuing. Corvin's kick dropped down into the hands of Joe Kernan, and Kernan gleefully accepts that opportunity to stretch Armagh into a most commanding lead. Paddy Moriarty, on one of the rare occasions he's had to clean up. Finding Corvin, a beautiful skill from Corvin. Gilt-edge opportunity for Fran McMahon. Can he settle himself? Can he take it? He does! Magnificent finishing there from Fran McMahon. To Paddy Moriarty. Moriarty raising his game. Trying to find Mickey McDonald. Breaks to Joe Kernan. Beautiful ball. Corvin settling himself, and Corvin on target, which is dropping short, and eventually Corvin following up, and a beautiful, beautiful ball finished by Mickey McDonald. And really all the credit for that goal that is finished by Mickey McDonald must have been with Johnny Corvin.
Great goal scoring by Armagh then, but this Down team too has got lots of talent, as James McCartan asserts.
Well, I mean, that's what used to annoy me. People say the talent's not in Down. I mean, the talent isn't Down. I mean, there's some players on the team today have won 4 rounds at different stages. I mean, those players must have some talent to do that. At college level, minor, and under 21, they must have some sort of talent there. I mean, the talent's there. It's really matter. It's like, if I go and buy Shagar, throws him up in a house for 12 months, he's not going to drive the next year.
Have you done that?
I would like to have done.
Do you see it being as tight a game as it was here in Newry? Does the fact that it's in Croke Park make any difference?
Well, this pitch is as big as Croke Park, and the rivalry's there, and the players have grew up together, no one there, and like, I mean, it would be tight, it'll be close, but I still think it'll be fair.
Are you looking forward to it more because it is Armagh than, say, if it was Dublin or Kerry or Cork or Offaly?
Well, I suppose yes, you know, there's that bit of rivalry, and it'd be nice to beat them, but if they beat you, you've had bit to stand, you know. That's what it's all about.
Well, it's been a long struggle for this Armagh team to get their county to its first National League final. And the fact that they've qualified at last must bring great satisfaction to their longest-serving player, Paddy Moriarty.
Well, 13 years to be exact, Mick, and certainly in the last 3 years, this has been our third National League semi-final, and it's great to have got to the final at last.
And in fact, Croke Park hasn't been the happiest place in the world for you.
Well, I would hope that certainly today, the first time we've won a National League semi-final here, and hopefully in 2 weeks' time, when we hope to win the final, I hope we can put that hoodoo, as it's called, behind us.
They came into prominence 6 years ago by regaining the Ulster title after 16 summers and reaching the 1977 All-Ireland final. But inexperience was evident very early in that match, and disaster struck them in the opening minutes of the first half, when their nervous defence conceded a Jimmy Keaveney goal to Dublin that was a body blow. Last year then, they qualified for 2 semi-finals, making a good start to the first of them.
Joe Kernan had now moved out to midfield, and it was a profitable move because he started that movement. Brian Canavan. This is Martin Murphy now. That's Fran McMahon. Charlie Nelligan is out, and it's in. It's Martin Murphy. The sub a few moments. Charlie Nelligan made an awful mess of it.
Armagh didn't make the most of it, however, and indeed Kerry were to beat them again in August, even though Armagh once more began their encounter in impressive and encouraging fashion.
Racing across from this side, John Corvin, and after him is Paudie Lynch. Comes to Peter Rafferty. Rafferty back now to Corvin, trying to get through. He's in front of the goal. Joe Kernan, that's the goal!
Yet another disappointment in Croke Park, though, but they've put it all behind them now to concentrate on the county's first National League final, which is, of course, all the more special because they're meeting the neighbours down.
No more than if, and I think that if no matter who we're playing, it's a National League final. I think we're there in merit, I think Down are there in merit, and I think it's great for Northern football, whoever wins, but certainly I hope it'll be great for Armagh football.
And when you say it's great for Northern football, there has been this thing in latter years that people are saying the standard is very low in Ulster, and I mean, now the two of you have disclaimed that, if you like, disproved it by coming through to the National League final.
Well, with all due respect to the media, I think that this thing about Northern football being at a low ebb has been absolute rubbish, because if you go outside of Dublin and Kerry, there haven't been too many All-Irelands or National Leagues flying about anywhere else, and we always seem to pick on the north and say the standard's bad there. I certainly expect Down in Armagh to put that record right in the near future.
Will it be more intense, the rivalry, because it's a league final than when you meet normally?
I don't think so. I think it'll be the exact same. If we met Down tomorrow in a friendly match, I think there'll be the same fervour about as there will be here in 2 weeks' time.
Well, when these counties met last interdivisional match last October, it was a draw between them. But not so when they clashed in their most recent final. That was the Ulster final of 1981, and it was in Clonus.
Halfback coming up to take it. Long ball. Ambrose Rogers fails to gather, but Joe Murphy, working his way clear, is hustled off the ball. Paddy O'Rourke gathering. Feeding forward to John McCartan. And it's a goal! A wonderful goal there from Greg Binney, this youthful college's minor and under-21 star. Driven long and dangerous ball. Been broken into the arms of Brian Hughes, who crosses it to the net. The equaliser. Brian McGlinden's kick out, grabbed by Paddy Kennedy, and Down running most of the ball in the midfield area at the moment. John McCartan settling himself and crashing the ball over the net. And there we have the scene of Paddy Kennedy working his way clear in the dying minutes of the 81 Ulster final. And again a beautiful ball through to John McCartan, and McCartan electing, I thought for a moment, for a point, but tucks the ball cleverly into the net. A most cheeky and beautiful goal from McCartan.
Well, several of the players who figured in that final are in opposition again tomorrow. One of them, indeed, the Down captain himself. Mark Turley is the left full back, and he talked about playing against Armagh, their near neighbours.
Oh, it makes a difference, certainly, Mick. The closeness of Armagh, the rivalry, the fact that Newry is split between the two counties, some of the players have gone to school together. It all adds up to, you know, a completely different match than, let's say, you were playing some deep team from the south, you know.
And of course you know them so well as also their football, their style of football.
That's true. We've played against each other a good few times. Their team has been much the same as our team over the past number of years, so we've got to know each other fairly well. So it may stunt the open play, but it'll leave it very exciting still.
Would you say at this level of football they're slightly more experienced than your players, even though your lads have won a lot of underage medals?
Yeah, it may seem that way, Mick. You know, over this past number of years, Armagh seem to get a lot of press. Maybe it's because of the amount of supporters they bring with them. Their supporters are very, very enthusiastic. But I think there's a good balance of experience and young players in both teams, and I think that'll show on Sunday.
This final could be highlighted by some spectacular scoring feats because there are several sparkling forwards lining out tomorrow. One of them, Johnny Corvin with Armagh. The right corner forward with 5 goals and 24 points is the top scorer in this National League. Beautifully skillful is the scorer of some spectacular goals.
Moriarty. Fran McMahon from midfield, long delivery. This is Johnny Corvin. Can he get in? Yes! What a marvellous goal! This is Des McCoy, the replacement for Joe Kernan. That was about to be cut off by Pádraig Lyons. He couldn't get to it in time. The right corner forward. Magnificent score by Johnny Corvin.
Johnny has displayed a wide range of skills and have blossomed to full flowering in this season, as he shows here with a beautiful chip done with great confidence. And his ability to get possession, in fact, is one of his great skills. The chip, as we'll see here again, bringing the ball up very quickly and no time wasted at all with having to bend over very far. And the conditions in the semi-final were unsuitable to skillful play, but Johnny gets the ball into his possession with the left foot very quickly. He uses the right then for the solo, and the left foot again to kick it away. So a sure-footed and two-footed player. And he's totally unselfish as he sets up chances for his teammates.
Kick out, moving forward. Paddy Moriarty, on one of the rare occasions he's had to clean up. Training Corvin, a beautiful skill from Corvin. Gilt-edge opportunity for Fran McMahon. Can he settle himself? Can he take it? He does! Magnificent passing there from Fran McMahon. A beautiful pass, skillfully clipped up by Johnny Corvin. Breaks to Joe Kernan. Beautiful ball. Corvin settling himself. And Corvin on target. But just dropping short. And eventually Corvin following up. And a beautiful, beautiful ball. Finished by Mickey McDonald. And really all the credit for that goal was finished by Mickey McDonald. Must have been with Johnny Corvin.
And Johnny's got very deceptive body movement. Look the way he weaves in here, wrong foots that defender, gets into the parallelogram, he spots the fellow player coming in, it's Joe Kernan, he spotted him loose and then Joe takes advantage of the goal. And Johnny again, very deft footwork as I've said, great confidence, look at the way he shields the ball here, a touch of the soccer skill obviously from his days at the Northern Ireland Youth International, and that gives him the great confidence with use of the ball. He's also very speedy, his speed of movement, he loses defenders, gets away into the open space and takes that long delivery that was sent down by a teammate. Then look how he curls into that large parallelogram using both feet, the left first, then the right. And he gets smartly into good positions. He sees the movement opening up, and you can see how now here, as the ball comes in from Brian McGeown, that Johnny has already gone into the open space. Although the pass wasn't a good one, you can see an indication how Johnny Corvin gets into those open spaces. And his potential was early seen in the All-Ireland semi-final by Kerry.
Dead on the 3:30, the game is on. And Armagh pushed to get it. Colin McKinstry, Paddy Moriarty. John Corvin trying to get into it, he's got to it. And a save there by Charlie Nelligan.
And there is, of course, Johnny Corvin's great ability as a free taker.
Johnny Corvin is the kicker. 3 goals and 16 points in this National League. He scored. Now it's 3-17. He opens the scoring with that good kick. Johnny Corvin with the 45, making no mistake, opening the score for Armagh.
Well, let's hope for one thing, and that's better weather than the teams had to suffer through when they played the semi-finals in Croke Park a fortnight ago. The weather, in fact, played some part in the lead-up to the down goal in that match against Kildare.
Kildare needs something very dramatic now because the rain is coming down even. There was a slight break. This breaks to Brendan Mason. That was not a goal. It was the wind that brought that to Brendan Mason. It bounced badly for the Kildare men. Liam Hayes knocking it down. Brian Canavan takes it for Armagh. This is Des McCoy, the replacement for Joe Kernan. That was about to be cut off by Pádraig Lyons. He couldn't get to it in time. The right corner forward. Magnificent score by Johnny Corvin. But Armagh coming again. And Brian Canavan. This is Des McCoy to Fran McMahon. The shot from McMahon. Mickey McDonald, and it's got in! Oh, that was a beautiful first-timer! Very difficult underfoot for the players.
Jerry McEntee. McDown gets it to Colm O'Rourke. Colm O'Rourke, nice turn, and drops it into the back of the net. Well, there are changes from those games 2 weeks ago, with Down much altered. Ned King was one of those disciplined for the semi-final, but he's returning to play at right full back. Brendan McGovern comes in at left half back, and Ambrose Rogers, the third one omitted a fortnight ago, is picked as full forward. Joe Kernan's been receiving treatment for a hamstring injury since he retired early from the match against Meath, and it's hoped he'll be able to last out the hour. So the second National League final between northern teams, but the first between sides from the 6 counties, and a splendid day, therefore, for Ulster football. Mark Turley, Down's captain, explains.
I think it will be fantastic for the game. The fact that both of us beat Offaly this year in the champion or in the earlier stages of the league, the fact that Offaly beat Kerry in the championship last year, I think it has given a new life to the thing, and the fact that both of us have got there on merit, not by some fluke or other in the semi-finals, I think it has done great for the football in the north.
Well, between the two of you, you were in the first 2 positions in Division 1 all through the league. Do you think it's going to have an effect on the other counties in Ulster? The fact that 2 Ulster counties are in the final?
I think it should. The Donegal at the moment have been showing a bit. Ulster, I think, is one of the hardest counties to get out of in championship when it comes to championship time. There's always that unknown quantity with some of these teams. They give off their best for the championship, and I think this year's Ulster Championship will be very, very tough going.
Well, that's the football final, and regrettably, that's clashing with the other National League final. That's the hurling final in Thurles between Kilkenny, the double champions, and Limerick, who've come up from Division 2. And if you're going there, better remember that the starting time's 3:15. Well, Kilkenny hoping that John Henderson, their dependable right full back, is fully fit to take his number 2 jersey. And his brother Pat set for a battle of wits from the sidelines with a former opponent, Eamon Cregan, who, like Henderson, is now crucially involved in the direction of his county's team. Well, also on tomorrow is the UCD 7-a-side football, which began earlier this afternoon. Semi-finals are 11 o'clock tomorrow morning and the final at 1, so there's time to get over to the league final in Croke Park. Well, finally, Sports Scene on RTE2 tomorrow night has highlights of the 2 National League finals, football from Croke Park and the hurling from Thurles. And we'll also include action from the